and welcome to Don't Pull the Chicken Switch 1.5 Minute Nugget. I am your host, Kit Alowitz, checking in today with a little background noise, but I had to check in from this beautiful location. It's a reservoir down the street from my house. In fact, I just swam a couple miles in that thing a couple days ago. It'll always have a special place in my memory. Today's 1.5 Minute Nugget is one of my favorite coin sayings that I picked up from a professor at one of the classes I took decades ago, working on getting my schooling done. And I give credit to the professor's name was Dr. Sager, but the term, and if you're been in my life over the last couple decades, you've heard me say this, it's an important one. It's called neurologically band-breaking. And I was fascinated, and still am to this day, about the concept of neurologically band-breaking. It basically says that our lives, for the most part, we largely do the same things every day, day after day. And we tend to live within these bands. There's a top band and a lower band. And as this professor explained to me as a young 22-year-old punk, I was particularly struck with the truthfulness of the statement. So I'm asking you to consider the statement today in terms of not pulling the chicken switch, in terms of not giving up. Because here's how it goes. We tend to live most of our lives within these bands. And the bands, for most of us, aren't very tall vertically. There's a short distance between the top band and the lower band. And his idea was, we've got to break the bands. It's a life of stagnant routine that kills. Now, I don't want to oversell that, because I know we do live often very repetitive sorts of daily activities, but I'd like you to consider that in order to have a life that's devoid of pulling the chicken switch, if you'll consider that it's, one, the routine that kills, that number two, we largely do the same things day after day, and that we, in the final analysis, we've got to force ourselves to be uncomfortable and to get outside those bands. And sometimes those bands are easy things, like simply having something else to eat, or doing something different when we go to work, or not opening our email as the first thing we do every day. There's all sorts of things we can do. So consider that if your life is the sum total of these bands, look for ways to neurologically break those. And why I decided to stop right here and do this one today was, hey, jumping in that reservoir behind me, which is absolutely beautiful here in Utah, was a little bit band-breaking. To jump in the river and swim 2.4 miles isn't something I normally do, so it breaks the bands. It disrupts the routine that can get us into trouble. Hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.